being empowered to make a change. Working on social and global challenges over the last 1 year, this group has students from all across the world studying in leading universities in India and abroad. These students are being mentored and nurtured as change makers of tomorrow. The Khemka Leaders Forum for Life 2013 is creating short films on the four challenges of corruption and governance, demographic challenges, environment and sustainability, as well as poverty and inequity. They will now showcase a short glimpse into their film project. It is my pleasure to invite on stage Group 1 working on the topic corruption and governance.
वायर थोड़ा ठीक हो सकता है पोडियम वाला उसकी हालत देख हाँ वायर थोड़ा ठीक कर
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sania Ocha and this is Suprit Malik, and we're here to talk about a group which chose to present and tackle the issue of corruption and governance. So corruption literally comes from the Latin word which is corruptus, which literally means to break, and it refers to an object that is broken. And to us, it in fact means and refers to the broken hopes of millions, the broken promises of the many people who promise to do things which they don't follow up on, and the shattered hopes of progress and development. As cliched as it may sound, as the future leaders of this country, it is our responsibility to fix what is broken. And we decided to start small. Even though today in our country corruption takes monstrous forms, like most things, it starts very small. As small as one vote in the hands of one person in one village in India. The power to choose. And before these people come down to exercising that power is where we have to intervene, is where we come in with our intellectual capital. These people need to be empowered before they make a decision. As we have been meeting and talking today, the concept of our group and the idea has evolved, and now we're looking at corruption as a mindset that is ingrained in each one of us right from the childhood. And this is how we're looking at corruption today, as a mindset and as a social evil, that both of which have to be eliminated on an equal footing. And he's going to now talk about the kind of three-pronged approach that we're following. But we as a group have been disturbed by the inherent irony in India's claim to be the world's largest democracy, and the fact that it is known for corruption at every level of governance. And more than that, the fact that we as individuals today cannot say that we have led lives or know people who have led lives completely free of corruption. So rooting it out of ourselves and rooting it out of society.
Like Sania said, we've been used to corruption now. We know it exists. And can we fight it all? I really doubt it. But we can start somewhere. Let me just start by saying that our action plan is not purely an intellectual concept. It is, on the contrary, it's a concept that has evolved after 1 year of extensive research and experience in Indian villages. We have, as our pilot project, taken over a village called Machrauli in Haryana, in the district of Samalta. Now, when we visited this village for the first time, we had an image of a village as in a place where there are huts, the roads are broken, there is bad sanitation management, people are not very well educated. And when we went there, we found that the members of the panchayat had degrees in developmental economics, and roads were paved, they had perfect water, electricity. And that really brought up a lot of questions in our mind. But then, that's not our understanding of a village today, is it? Now, let me ask you, this may sound similar to what we think of a village, and this is something that we found after we did in-depth research into how the panchayat was formed and what actually happened. Before the elections took place for the panchayat, more than half of the village was put in a bus and sent to Shimla for a mini vacation. Once they came back, whoever went for a vacation voted for the Sarpanch, and therefore the Sarpanch was elected. That Sarpanch was extremely corrupt, and the details of which we won't even like to go into. After understanding that you need to actually understand a village completely before you undertake something, we started to develop a three-pronged approach. First prong of which is intense research, which includes anonymous surveying as well as an advanced utilities analysis of the area so that we know exactly what the people need. The second is voter awareness so that we allow the people to understand exactly what they are voting for and why their vote counts. What is our eventual aim? How is it that we are actually going to make this tangible? 2014 elections are coming, and I want that when the next candidate for Sarpanch takes them for a vacation, they only elect him if he stands for tourism minister. Thank you.
Now may I invite on stage Group 2 dealing with demographic challenges.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Demographic Challenges Group, we'd like to introduce to you our action plan. Within the vast variety of themes that fall under demographic challenges, we finally chose to focus on education and skill development because we feel that both these issues lie at the center and the core of multiple challenges that specifically India and globally across the world countries face. We also wanted to identify issues that can assist human resource development, and that's why we focused on education and skill development. We started a project with background research on the Right to Education Act, the NREGA, and models of skill development across the country, and moved on to a module for interactive activities and engagement with the community around us. We followed up with two pilot projects, one which we conducted last month and one which we aim to do in the next month. Is one of the projects, which was the Diksha non-profit institution, was where we spent a whole day working with 12 to 14-year-old children from an underprivileged background on developing their soft skills and life skills, things that they require once they grow up and they need this sort of holistic development in their personality, both once they're professionals and in their daily lives. So we talked to them about communication skills through theatre activities, creativity through art, and teamwork through sports. So having spent that time with them, we realized that there is vast potential within these kids and also aspirations that they cultivate and that they really want to pursue. However, there exists this gap between their aspirations and potential and opportunity that is available to them. So we want to bridge that gap and create suggestions for the bridging of this gap between opportunities and their aspirations, and we work towards a manual that will include activities, interactive activities for different stakeholders in the development sector to use to enhance the education of these children. We want to scale this up larger so that we can include more issues, we can include more institutions and not NGOs and impact a larger number of students. And we want to create a sort of an idea lab, which Vanshika will be elaborating on.
So the Idea Lab will be a follow-up after a few of our pilot programs. Because the manual is supposed to be dynamic, and the Idea Lab will act as a platform for students across the world to come together and work on research projects, help implementation of programs, and in their assessment. It will be an online source of data, an online archive where research material will be accessible. And the interesting thing is that the activities that we plan to do are across different mediums. So we plan on leveraging technology, using things like Google Maps, Skype, and so on, along with other basic things like theatre, sports, and so on. Besides that, we feel that it's important to take a bottom-up approach rather than a top-down approach. And therefore, we will be using these pilot programs. The manual will be dynamic,
And the Idea Lab will allow us to customize and localize it, evolve and adapt it according to the regions where the manual will be provided. So it will change from region to region and according to the demographic group that we're dealing with. And along with this, all of this together, the Idea Lab will essentially allow us to sustain and expand our program both horizontally and vertically, and scale it out on a larger platform. So that's our project, and any support would be very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have on stage Group 3, Environment and Sustainability.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Chandrika, and this is Ramya, and we're part of the Environment and Sustainability group. Our group, we call ourselves the missing link, and the environmental issue that we chose to address is waste. We all know waste is a huge problem, but there's no such thing as waste in nature. Waste is an entirely human concept, and we started thinking about what we can do to reduce and reuse waste. One of the most important things we realized is that there just simply isn't enough space to accommodate all the waste that we've been generating. All the landfills that are in Delhi are at capacity or overfilled. So we decided to focus our project on the issue of segregating and recycling waste.
So we started off with thinking there must be someone who does this already. It's not easy to accept. Why are there no recycling centers that everyone knows about or uses frequently? And that's how it evolved. So we looked for recycling centers, but it wasn't long before we noticed that there was already a whole informal system doing the job for us, and these are our invisible figures. The waste pickers, the kabadiwalas, all these individuals who, without any recognition or support, do this job and recycle about 15 to 20% of the waste of Delhi. Now, this is just a number for Delhi. They work across India, they're in other countries across the world. Not everyone is as organized as we should be. And so that's where we picked up from.
The other thing to remember is that these rag pickers and waste pickers have no access to legal rights, they work in extremely hazardous conditions, and basically have no support. So this is where our project comes in. Our project is to create a sustainable and inclusive waste management program in schools to sensitize students to the urgent need to segregate and recycle waste. There are a lot of students who care about this issue, but they don't have the care about this issue and want to segregate and recycle waste, but they know eventually most of it ends up in the same landfill, and they feel so overwhelmed by this problem that they don't segregate waste. So this is when the waste pickers come in. We're putting students in touch with the waste pickers and showing them that if they segregate waste and the waste pickers will recycle the waste because they're the ones who make it happen. And by segregating waste, they will also be saving hours and hours of work for the rag pickers who have to segregate waste themselves by their own hands. So our awareness leading to action campaign includes local waste pickers and encourage students to take responsibility for their waste instead of just passing it off to someone else to do.
So our role in this is basically as a facilitator for this relationship between the waste pickers, the whole system, and the school, where there are students who are already almost sensitized but don't know what to do with it. So that's where we started with one school, Tagore International School, and spoken to other schools. And we began the process by conducting a waste audit, 3 waste audits, which we involved students in as well. And so we took off from there, and we spoke to their waste picker and other waste pickers in the city, as well as an NGO, Chintan, who helps to organize this system and get them a little more rights involved in lobbying.
And our hope is that this recycling program will spread to schools across India and the world, and everybody will be recycling waste and making lives of hundreds of thousands of rag pickers much better. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to invite the last group for the day, Group 4, working on the topic poverty and inequity.
Good evening, everyone. We are here representing the group Poverty and Inequity. So when we started looking at this overwhelmingly vast topic, we shortlisted it down to an issue of education, and under that issue of education, we focused on education of the girl child. And stemming from that, we came up with a pilot project that Dia is going to tell you about.
So the project basically began 2 years ago when we came into contact with a children's home which only had accommodation for boys. This children's home was actually for children whose parents have leprosy, and we got in 12 girls, and the aim of our project is to upscale this.
So we are aiming at supporting these girls and their education at this home. What we want to do is increase the small number of 12 girls. The home that we are talking about introduced these 12 girls, but they were reluctant to do so because they did not want to take up the added responsibility that comes with this. And we feel that helping these girls and many other girls, and stemming from this pilot project, we want to replicate this project in various locations across the nation and across the globe. And obviously that's a future step along with other things and other workshops and different sort of activities that we have come up with. But our pilot project is this, to help these girls get the sort of education at this home. And I hope you will follow our initiative and support it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for members of our Kinka Leaders Forum.